Today we have Gina Romero, Mrs. Gina Romero from United Nations, Special Rapporteur about the Freedom Assembly, and I could say even more. When I was researching your biography, it's really amazing how much you put effort in this world to make a difference. So thank you very much for your time.
No, thanks, Sasha, right?
Yes.
Thanks, Sasha. And then I'm doing whatever I can in my human capacity.
Yeah, first of all, you post on LinkedIn uh, something. I will be very short in that kind of way. You post that European Union should do something more about using force in Serbia, and people are sending all the time like open letters to European Union, to United Nations. And what can you say about your opinion that you post? How can European Union act more?
Well, I think that there are several different ways of putting pressure or at least to just to do what I consider a due diligence for Serbians' interest of being part of the EU. I think that is very clear. It's very clear that the interest of Serbia for entering the EU needs somehow to wait in the EU to condemn the restrictions of rights and excessive use of force against protesters and many other human rights violations that we have been reporting this year. Only this year we have sent like several letters to the government, just trying to figure out what is going on with the curtails of freedoms and rights, and we can talk about this in a while. I checked and I realized that the High Representative, like Vice President of the Foreign Affairs and Security Policy at the EU, went to Serbia in May. Apparently, May everybody went to Serbia, including me. And then there she met with President Vučić, with the Prime Minister, with the Speaker of the Parliament, and with many other people. And then in her briefing before leaving the country, she said that there were not shortcuts for membership and that real progress will be made. And when she mentioned the real progress on many different issues, she mentioned media freedom, combating corruption, electoral reforms. But then I think that she felt short, very short, in actually doing a more concrete call on human rights respect, and specifically of the respect of freedom of assembly and of association, because both rights are being curtailed heavily in the country. And then I think that there has been nothing else since then. And this was already the end of May. And then we have seen in June, specifically July and this month of August, how the violent repression of civil society have actually been increased. So I think that at the end, there are several interests playing around here. But then for sure, if Serbia is still interested in being part of the union needs to be more concrete and are stronger. But also, it is not only about the union. And I keep saying that the countries that are a part of the union also need to stand up and raise their voices. I haven't heard, perhaps I'm outdated in information, but I haven't heard anything that Germany or the UK or France have said about what is happening in the country. And that is something that is very problematic, not only because of the weight that these countries has in the EU, but also because of the other interests that these countries have in Serbia. So at some point, I'm not very sure of which are the interests that are being more prioritized here on the silence of so many actors about what is happening in Serbia. I don't know if it is because they want to manage everything in the diplomatic way, which is like more silent, or because they want to manage it through the EU channels, including the visit of the High Representative of this commission of the EU Commission, or if that is there, that these countries don't want to say anything because they have some economics and commercial interests in Serbia, and that would be despicable.
So
And there
basically,
is no
that will
other
be
way of
the
saying it.
answer on the next question. How can European Union and international community affect something like supporting democracy in Serbia and without involving in domestic politics?
Well, the thing is that it's very difficult sometimes for the international community to advance in the promotion of rights and freedoms when there is this problematic narrative that says that if somebody criticizes the fulfillment of rights and freedoms, then they are interviewing in internal politics, which is actually like a contradiction of what it means to be part of an international society and international community. Because at the end, the international community has the different channels that have been actually approved by the Serbian government just to actually be part of the system. So the Serbian government is part of the UPR process that reviews human rights periodically. So Serbia is also participating in the different UN like the official activities. So at the end, it is very problematic that when you and me, for example, that are part of the um, global system of protection and promotion of human rights, that we cannot say the things that we need to say because we are accused of actually intervening in politics, which is like very, very weird. And about what we have done, I mean, we have done a lot. We, from the special procedures, we have sent several letters. I went on an academic visit to Serbia. I met with different people. I actually reached out to the mission, the permanent mission, the representative from Serbia in Geneva, and I talked to them. I had a meeting with them last June, and then they actually, I requested a visit, an official visit to the country, and they accepted, but then they have never confirmed the dates. So this is something that you don't know if they are playing games with me or if that they are waiting for the summer to end just to give me like a concrete response. I don't know. So you know also that the High Commissioner of Human Rights went to the country and actually offer a fact-finding mission of the use of the alleged use of a sonic weapon, but then there has been no response either from the government. So at the end, we do a lot, but then without a clear commitment of the government on respecting, on opening the doors of the country for us and go and explore and do our missions, there is just not a clear message if they are actually really interested or not in actually fulfilling human rights and freedoms. So that is just something that is like always in the loop. We do the things that we need to do, but then we always need the government to reply. And this is why the international pressure from the EU and other governments are so important, because then they can actually push for these doors to actually be opened and concrete.
So, is it possible that if UN words can reach more people, that people can be, in a way, more awakened and understand that democracy is something really else than they showing to us? I mean, in the countries like Serbia, and can that UN voice become louder?
That do you mean the people outside Serbia or
Yeah.
people inside Serbia? Outside. Well, we do. I mean, I have been promoting a lot of information about what is happening in Serbia, but just let me be very clear, Sasha. I am doing this also not only to inform like citizens in general and people around the globe, but also to inform even governments, other governments from other regions that are perhaps not aware of what is happening. And then this has been very interesting because every time you reach out, let's say a permanent mission or like a diplomat for a country which is not close to the EU or Europe politics, they actually get very surprised of what is happening. They have heard something about like student protest, but then they don't have much more information. So here there is we also need for sure more that the international media can actually provide all the information that is needed, but also it is very important just to be clear that we also need a voice of other actors, including us, special procedures, but other people, just to try to bring this information to many other different different scenarios, which is what we try to do. But then the role of the media and the role of other prominent voices is important.
A few months I was reporting about there is a website about world protest tracking.
Mm.
And at that point, it was like 800 protests in the world.
Yeah.
So what is the balance? There is some kind of dissatisfaction among all, I mean, most of the people now. There is some kind of change in that kind of way. What is the balance to go to the side of the citizens or make even different diplomacy?
I think that all measures need to be done at the same time. I mean, if we are talking about the global situation, there are always a high number of protests. I think that recently in the recent years, two or three phenomena have been like pulled together. The first one is the increase of pro-Palestine movement in the world that had actually increased protests and other type of mobilizations around the globe, because this is like a global movement, and that has also increased the numbers of protests in most of the protest trackers that are out there. That this is one. The second one is that we just passed the what I used to call the super electoral cycle, in which between 2023 and 2025 they were the biggest number of elections in the history of humanity. And as elections are such a delicate moment, elections always spark during, before, or after some sort of protest or some sort of mobilizations that at some point can actually be related with the electoral processes. So I think that also increases the number of protests and other type of assemblies that perhaps are being tracked. And the third one is that, Sasha, we are right now in a very a deep crisis around the globe, related democracy, rule of law, and the protection and the promotion of rights and freedoms. We see that in many countries, in all continents, we are seeing the repression of several different types of rights. We have seen the decline of democracy, the closing of civic space, and also in some places a very problematic, a worrisome advance of authoritarianism. And then protest is always the way that civil society, but especially citizens, like regular people, have to actually voice up their necessities and their worries, especially in places in which the democratic institutions are not fulfilling completely their roles. So yeah, this is why we have like now more protests that in other types of history. I don't know. I haven't been followed up. I don't know if this is a moment in which we are having more protests than in other times of history, but for sure, this past 2-3 years, the people taking the street has felt as the only way in many places to claim rights and freedoms, but also to denounce genocide and wars that are happening around the globe, and also just to try to come together in a moment of history that felt very isolated, that make people feel very isolated. So protests also help you to overcome that.
And for the end, one short question. I think that students from Serbia explode like information all over the world. and everybody knows about the Serbian student protests. And how do you see that? And shortly, the use of force on those students. I mean, I guess you are following the all informations, uh, and that you are
Yeah,
well informed about that. But
I've
how
been
do you see?
following, yes.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
The question is, how do you see that from the perspective of the United Nations Convention and your expertise?
well, Sasha, several things to say there. First is that, and I keep saying this to all the young people that I meet in just through my travels and the work that I do, is that I have um, hope for humanity right now because I've seen what students have been doing all around the globe. I mean, I went to Serbia and I met with the students in Novi Sad. I met with students in Belgrade. I went to the universities that were occupied. I've been talking with the students worldwide, with the pro-Palestine movement students, with the students in Africa, with the students in Asia, and is that the strength of the young people, which actually make me feel hopeful of the future. Um, and therefore, it is very problematic and it's very worrisome that the law enforcers are using force to actually curtail the possibility to exert their rights of expression and of assembly and of association and other rights. And that is very problematic, not only because lives are being lost in the world because of this use of force, which is like the hardest thing for me to see. This is something that is happening in for example, in Africa and in other places. But then also because every time you curtail the rights of young people, you are risking to silence a whole generation. And that it is not only problematic for the present, but it's also very problematic for the future. Because what we need with all the global challenges that we have is more voices just to claim for their rights. What we need is more people taking the streets, more people entering in dialogue with governments and with the international community. And then if we silence generations, then that is going to be paving more easily the way for authoritarianism and dictatorship and all the things that we don't want to see in our world. So from one side, I've been very hopeful, and I love to see their strength. It was so moving for me to talk to young women in Novi Sad when I was trying to understand how did they do, for example, to protect their their movement from radicalization and from violence. They were all of them giving me this beautiful speech about love and how they consider that their work is actually expressing the love from their country, the love from their institutions, the love for the people, even for the people who doesn't agree with them. And that is something that actually filled my heart with a lot of hope. And then this is why it's even more problematic that the president went on television saying that perhaps he cannot know if the police can refrain to shoot or use any other weapons against protesters. That is just something that is it just so problematic from all the ways that you see it. That this is why I keep asking the international community, the EU, governments to actually stand up for the rights and the lives of protesters in Serbia and specifically for young people there.
Thank you very much for your wise words and your expertise.
No, thanks to you, Sasha, for the invitation. Just to let you know, and everybody who's listening, and everybody who is seeing this conversation, that I keep my eyes on Serbia, that my heart is with Serbia, that I'm doing anything it is in my position but then that sometimes the system also need other people to jump in. Just let me end perhaps this conversation with something that it really struck me when I went to Serbia, and it is like when you were in the city center, you could see that something was going on, right? You could see the people in the streets. When I went to Serbia, the TV station was occupied, so it was easy to see the noise of the people. But then when you go outside the city center, it's as if nothing were happening. And then I think that more people in Serbia, I think that other sectors in Serbia besides the educational sector and the young people need to actually also mobilize. And I'm not saying about mobilizing in protest. I said about mobilizing as groups and collectives to actually do their part. What is happening with the private sector, for example? Is the private sector also reaching out to the country, to the government in their own ways, and actually requesting for the respect of rights, and then for the calls of citizens that also have massively go to the streets? I mean, what we saw in March 15 was not a bunch of kids. And March 15 this year, we saw Serbian civil society, Serbian citizens actually taking the streets just to claim for changes. And what is happening with all those voices? Why is the student? Why are the students need to sustain the rest of society when society can also do their own ways, just to actually put pressure on changes that the country really needed? So I think that that is also very important. It's not only what the civil society, what the international community can do. It's also what the rest of the society can do. And this is why it's very important, therefore, also what the students are doing, because they are sustaining the movement. But that is not. I mean, the role is not to stay there forever. The role is that the rest of society also respond to this and also join for the claims in whatever ways they can do it, or always peaceful, always through institutional channels if those channels are already open. But it's not only the students' responsibility. And then where is everybody else is also something I ask.
Students bring diplomacy on the streets.
Yeah. And they have done fantastic things, very symbolic and everything, all the like the ride in bikes to Brussels, and then the marathon to Geneva, and all the other things that they have been doing. Is just I feel such a deep admiration from them. I promise you.
Thank you very much for your time.
No, thanks to you, Sasha. And then I'm here for whatever it is needed.